Hello, my friend. Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel too busy to practice English? You wake up, go to work or school, eat, study, come home, and by the end of the day you think, I had no time. I used to feel the same. But then I discovered a secret. Your daily routine is not separate from learning. It is the perfect place for learning. In this video, I will show you how every moment, morning, commute, lunch, evening, can become English practice. Step by step, day by day, you can build fluency while living your normal life. Let's begin. Morning wake up. Morning is the start of everything. The alarm rings, the sky is still pale, and I open my eyes with a heavy sigh. My bed feels warm, my body feels slow, and the first thought in my mind is not about English, it's about pressing snooze. But then I remember, this is my chance. If I bring English into the very first minutes of my day, I carry it with me everywhere. So I begin small. I sit up, stretch my arms, and whisper to myself in English, Good morning. The sun is rising. Today will be a good day. My voice is quiet, but it breaks the silence. I stand and walk to the window. The street is calm. A few people hurry to work. I say softly, The city is waking up. Cars are moving. A man carries his briefcase. These are simple sentences, but they open the door. Next, I go to the bathroom. I look into the mirror and greet myself. Hello. How are you today? I smile at my own reflection. It feels a little silly, but it makes me ready. When I brush my teeth, I narrate. I brush slowly. I rinse. I feel fresh. When I wash my face, I add, The water is cold. I feel awake. It's not about learning new words. It's about connecting daily actions with English sentences. After that, I make breakfast. The kettle whistles and I say, The water is boiling. I take a slice of bread and note. I put the bread in the toaster. The smell of coffee fills the kitchen. I say, The coffee smells strong. I pour it into the cup. My routine is unchanged, but my language changes. The morning becomes both life and lesson. Sometimes I doubt myself. I think, this is too simple. Is this real progress? But then I notice small shifts. When I later hear the word boil in a podcast, I remember the kettle. When I see smile in a story, I remember my mirror greeting. The words stick because they are tied to real things in my real life. Before leaving the house, I check my bag. I whisper. I take my keys. I pack my notebook. I wear my jacket. These are not grand speeches, but they give me confidence. Because every sentence is mine and every sentence reminds me I can live my morning in English. That's how my day begins now. Not with silence, not with hesitation, but with simple words that bring English into the first light of the day. And once the day begins in English, it becomes easier to carry that language into the hours that follow. Commuting. The journey begins. The morning continues, and soon it's time to leave the house. I lock the door, step outside, and the city greets me with its noise. Cars honk, bicycles pass, people hurry along the sidewalks. This is my commute, a perfect classroom without walls. At the bus stop, I look around and start building sentences. A woman is waiting with her umbrella. A student is holding a heavy backpack. The bus is coming from the corner. I don't say them loudly, just softly to myself, like secret notes. The world becomes a story, and English is the language that tells it. When the bus arrives, I climb on and whisper. I tap my card. The doors close. The driver starts the engine. I find a seat near the window. Outside, the city moves past like a movie. I describe what I see. A dog runs along the street. A man opens his shop. A child waves from the window. Each sentence is simple, but each one makes the ride meaningful. Sometimes I listen too. I put on my headphones and play a short podcast or a piece of news. The announcer says, "The weather today will be sunny with clouds in the afternoon." I glance at the sky and repeat in my head, "Yes, I see the sun now. Maybe clouds will come later." By connecting the audio to what I see, I remember it better. If I take the train, the rhythm is different, but the practice stays the same. The loudspeaker announces, "Next station, Central Park." I repeat it quietly, then add my own line. "I get off at Central Park." I walk to work. Even a train ride becomes part of my English journey. Walking is no different. My feet step steadily, and my mind turns every corner into a lesson. I cross the street. The light is green. A cyclist passes quickly. I don't need a classroom. The city teaches me step by step, as long as I'm willing to translate movement into words. Sometimes people glance at me and I feel a little strange. What if they think I'm talking to myself? But then I remember, they are busy with their own mornings, and even if they notice, they won't remember. My English is more important than their opinion. That thought gives me courage to keep speaking. After many days, I notice progress. Words like umbrella, backpack, driver, and engine no longer feel foreign. They belong to my daily routine. They live in my memory, not because I studied them in a book, but because I met them every morning on the bus, on the train, on the street. So commuting is no longer wasted time. It's a moving classroom, a flowing lesson. By the time I arrive at work or school, I haven't only traveled through the city, I've also traveled further in English. And that is how the journey begins, every single day. Working or studying. During the day. When I arrive at work, the real day begins. The office is bright with fluorescent lights, keyboards tapping in rhythm, voices rising and falling like background music. It might not look like an English classroom, but if I pay attention, it can become one. I open my laptop and whisper to myself. I check my email. I type my password. I read a new message. The sentences are short, but they give my routine an English frame. I notice words on the screen: deadline, meeting, update. I say them softly and try to use them in my own thoughts. The deadline is close. The meeting starts soon. I update the file. Suddenly, even my work vocabulary becomes part of my English learning. In meetings, I may not speak English out loud, but I practice in my head. When my boss explains a task, I translate silently. He wants me to finish this by Friday. When a colleague shows a chart, I think, the numbers are going up. The sales are strong. I don't interrupt the meeting, but I keep my inner voice alive, training my brain to respond in English. During lunch, I take a short break. I sit with my food and open a simple English article online. Maybe it's about technology, maybe about travel, maybe just a lifestyle tip. I read a few paragraphs, nothing too heavy. Between bites of rice or noodles, I repeat a phrase in my mind. Improve step by step. Take a small action today. The words stick because they are tied to the taste and smell of my lunch. For students, the routine is similar. In class, you may hear explanations in your native language, but you can still create English thoughts. When the teacher writes a formula on the board, you can whisper, "This is the answer. I solved the problem." When you pass a note to a friend, you can imagine it in English. We meet after class. We study together. School becomes more than studying subjects. It becomes a chance to practice another language in the background. Sometimes work feels heavy. Reports pile up, assignments drag on, and I think, I don't have time for English today. But then I remind myself, I don't need an extra hour. I only need a few sentences. Even in the busiest day, I can describe what I'm doing. I write the report. I send the file. I check the result. Each sentence is a tiny step, but together they build a path forward. By evening, I may feel tired, but I also feel satisfied because my desk, my classroom, my office, they all became part of my English training. I didn't wait for the perfect lesson. I turned my daily work and study into lessons themselves. And that is the secret. The day is not a distraction from English. The day is English. You just have to see it that way. Lunch break and relaxation. By the time lunch arrives, the morning rush has faded. My stomach is empty, my head feels heavy, and I want nothing more than a quiet break. This is not the time for hard study. This is the time to relax and still keep English close in small, gentle ways. I sit down with my meal. Maybe it's a bowl of noodles, maybe a sandwich, maybe just a cup of tea. I take a slow breath and press play on a short English video. Not a lecture, not a lesson. Something light, a travel story, a cooking clip, a daily vlog. I don't take notes, I don't pause, I just listen while I eat. The voice becomes background music, like a friend talking nearby. Sometimes I read instead. I open a simple article on my phone. 5 tips for better sleep. The sentences are short, the advice is easy. I chew my food and read one line at a time. Go to bed early. Avoid too much coffee. Relax before sleep. I smile because I'm relaxing now and I'm learning at the same time. If I'm with colleagues or classmates, I may not speak English out loud, but I still practice silently. When someone laughs at a joke, I translate it quickly in my head. When someone talks about the weekend, I think, he will go hiking. She will see her family. Even if I don't join the conversation in English, my mind stays active. Sometimes I take my lunch outside. I sit on a bench in the park, listening to birds and footsteps. I open a short story on my phone. Something fictional, something fun. A boy finds a lost dog. A girl writes a letter to her friend. The language is simple, but it pulls me into another world. For 15 minutes, I'm both resting my body and feeding my mind. The key is balance. Lunch break is not about pushing myself. It is about enjoying English like I enjoy my food. Slowly, gently, without pressure. If I only understand half of what I hear, that's fine. If I only read 2 paragraphs, that's fine too. The goal is not quantity. The goal is connection. After a while, I start to notice something. Words from my lunch break appear later in the day. I hear relax in a podcast and remember my article. I see delicious in a story and remember my meal. My break, which once felt empty, now becomes another step in my journey. So lunch is no longer just about eating. It's about giving my body rest and giving my English gentle practice. When the break is over, I return to work or study with more energy, not only for tasks, but also for language. Step by step, even my relaxation carries me forward. Afternoon challenges. The afternoon is always the hardest part of the day. The morning energy has faded, lunch has made me sleepy, and the clock seems to move slowly. My desk is full of tasks. My mind is full of excuses, and the last thing I want to do is study. But this is exactly the time when small English moments matter the most. I start with something light. A new email arrives, and instead of reading only in my native language, I imagine how it would sound in English. Please confirm the meeting time. I will send the file later. Thank you for your support. Simple sentences, but they give me focus. Sometimes I feel too tired to read or listen, so I use English in another way. I describe my task quietly. I open the spreadsheet. I check the numbers. I write the report. It feels mechanical, almost boring, but even these plain sentences keep my mind awake. The work is routine, but the language makes it alive. When the afternoon slump hits hardest, I take a short walk. Maybe to the water cooler, maybe outside for 5 minutes. As I walk, I speak softly. I stand up. I stretch my arms. I drink water. These are not grand lessons, but they reset my brain. English is no longer something heavy. It becomes part of my breathing, part of my movement. On tougher days, I give myself a small challenge. I write one short motivational note in English on a sticky pad. Keep going. You're stronger than you think. I put it on my desk where I can see it. Every time I glance at it, the words remind me not only to finish my work, but also to believe in my learning. For students, the same is true. Afternoon classes can feel endless. The teacher's voice grows softer, the notebook fills slowly, the eyelids grow heavy. That's when I choose one sentence to repeat silently. I can focus. I can understand. I can learn step by step. Doesn't erase the tiredness, but it gives me strength to continue. After many afternoons like this, I noticed something surprising. Words like report, confirm, focus, stretch became natural. I didn't learn them from a textbook. I learned them because they were part of my afternoons, part of my challenges, part of my survival. The afternoon is not easy, but that is why it is powerful. If I can keep English alive when I'm tired, then I can keep it alive any time. And every time I fight through that heavy hour, I prove to myself that progress is not made only in the morning or in the classroom. It is made here, in the slow, difficult hours of the day. Evening activities and hobbies. When the day's work or classes finally end, the evening feels like freedom. The city slows down, the lights turn warm, and I can choose what to do with my time. Some people think this is when learning stops, but for me, this is when English can breathe more easily. Sometimes I cook dinner. I cut vegetables, stir a pot, or fry rice in a pan. While I cook, I put on a short English video about food. Maybe a chef explaining a recipe, maybe a traveler tasting dishes in another country. I don't take notes. I just let the words flow around me while I hear the sound of oil sizzling in the pan. The kitchen becomes a classroom filled with flavor. Other evenings, I enjoy a hobby. I like music, so I play English songs with lyrics on the screen. I sing along, not perfectly, not smoothly, but with joy. At first, I only caught a few words: heart, dream, forever. But after repeating, I noticed whole sentences sticking in my memory. Singing is practice, but it feels like play. When I read, I choose stories that relax me. Sometimes a short mystery, sometimes a diary style blog, sometimes even comic panels in English. I sit on the sofa with a blanket and let the sentences carry me. She opened the letter slowly. The street was quiet. The rain tapped on the window. These words are not from a textbook. They are from life, and they make English feel alive. If I meet friends online, I practice in small ways too. Maybe I send a short English message. Good evening. How was your day? It's simple, but it reminds me that English is for real conversations, not only for study. Even one short chat keeps the language part of my world. Some evenings I take a walk outside. The streets are calmer, shops closing, children playing in the last light of the day. I speak softly as I walk. The street lights are bright. The air is cool. A boy rides his bicycle. I don't need anyone with me. The evening itself becomes my partner. The best thing about evenings is choice. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel pressured. I can choose a song, a book, a video, or a short conversation. Each choice adds a little more English to my day without stress. After a while, I noticed my hobbies in English became habits. Cooking with English, walking with English, relaxing with English. The language slipped quietly into the spaces I once thought were empty, and those spaces became steps, small, steady steps forward. So evenings are not just for rest, they are for living with English in a natural way. When hobbies and habits mix with learning, progress doesn't feel like work anymore. It feels like life. Night, reflection and review. The night is quiet. The streets outside are darker now, the sound of traffic softer, the world preparing to rest. For me, this is the perfect moment to slow down and look back at the day. Not only what I did, but also what I learned in English. I sit by my desk with a small notebook. The pages are half filled with short sentences from the past weeks. Tonight, I add a few more. I read an article about travel. I listened to a podcast on the bus. I spoke to myself while cooking. These notes are not long, not detailed, but they are proof. Proof that English lived in my day. Sometimes I choose just one new word from the day and write it down. Maybe relax, maybe focus, maybe recipe. I don't make a long list. I don't force myself to memorize. I just write it, say it once, and trust that tomorrow I will see it again. Over time, the notebook grows like a garden, each word a small seed planted in my memory. Other nights, I record my voice. I open my phone, press record, and speak for 1 minute. Today I woke up early. I went to the office. I listened to music in English. I felt tired in the afternoon, but still practiced. Then I play it back. I hear my mistakes, yes, but I also hear my progress. My sentences are longer, my voice is clearer, my confidence is stronger. Sometimes I simply replay the day in my mind. I close my eyes and imagine each moment in English. The morning bus. I tap my card, I find a seat. The lunch break. I eat noodles. I read a story. The evening walk. The lights are bright. The night air is cool. By reviewing the day this way, I relive it through another language. It becomes a habit, and habits are stronger than motivation. Night reflection is not heavy study. It is gentle review. It doesn't take an hour. Sometimes only 5 minutes. But those minutes matter. They turn daily experiences into lessons and lessons into memory. When I first began, I often felt guilty at night. I didn't study enough. I should have done more. But then I realized every small effort counts. One sentence spoken, one paragraph read, one thought translated. That is enough. Perfection is not the goal. Continuity is. Now, when I close my notebook and turn off the light, I feel calm. English is no longer only in books or classrooms. It is in my room, in my thoughts, in my day. And every night by reflecting, I make sure it stays with me. Preparing for tomorrow. The day is almost over. The lights are dim, the streets outside are quiet, and I'm ready to rest. But before sleep, I take one more step. A step not for today, but for tomorrow. Because learning English is not just about one day of effort. It is about the chain of days, the steady rhythm that carries me forward. I begin by setting a small plan. Nothing heavy, nothing impossible. Just a promise to myself. Tomorrow morning, I will read one page of a story. Or tomorrow afternoon, I will listen to a podcast on the bus. Or tomorrow night, I will speak for 2 minutes about my day. These plans are small enough that I know I can keep them, and keeping them gives me power. I prepare tools in advance. I place my notebook on the desk where I can see it. I save a podcast episode on my phone so I don't have to search in the morning. I leave an easy English article open in my browser. Tomorrow, when I wake up tired or busy, I won't have to decide. The choice is already made. All I have to do is follow it. Sometimes I also remind myself why I started. I think of moments when English opened a door, the time I understood a video without subtitles, the time I spoke to a stranger while traveling, the time I wrote my thoughts in a diary without translating. These memories are fuel. They remind me that tomorrow's effort is worth it. Preparing for tomorrow is not only about tasks, it is also about mindset. I tell myself quietly before sleep, I don't need to be perfect. I just need to continue. That thought calms me. It makes me less afraid of mistakes and more focused on consistency. Over time, these small preparations build a rhythm. Each day connects to the next. English is no longer a sudden decision. It is a natural part of my life. Like brushing my teeth or eating dinner, it belongs to the flow of my routine. When I first began, I often wondered, will I ever become fluent? Will I ever feel comfortable? Now I understand that fluency is not one big jump. It is 1,000 small steps. Tomorrow is simply the next one. So I turn off the light with a quiet smile. I know that tomorrow, when the sun rises, I will take another step. Not perfect, not fast, but steady. And with each steady step, English grows stronger inside me. That is how tomorrow becomes my teacher and how progress never stops. Daily routines become daily English. So, my friend, we have walked through another full day together, step by step, moment by moment. From the quiet of the morning to the tiredness of the afternoon, from cooking dinner to sitting down at night, we discovered that every routine can carry English inside it. We began the day by speaking simple words at the window, on the bus, or in the kitchen. We turned work and study into practice, even if only in our thoughts. We used breaks, hobbies, and evening walks to bring English closer without pressure. And finally, before sleep, we prepared for tomorrow, because tomorrow is always another chance. The lesson here is simple. You don't need a special time or a perfect plan. You already have the structure you need, your daily routine. When you tie English to your routine, it becomes natural. It becomes automatic. You don't ask yourself, should I practice today? You simply do it, the same way you brush your teeth, drink water, or lock your door. Of course, some days will feel heavy. You may feel tired, busy, or unmotivated. On those days, remember that even one small action counts. One sentence whispered on the bus, one short article at lunch, one word written in your notebook at night. These are not small. They are the bricks that build fluency. So my friend, as you close this video, I want you to remember, English is not far away. It is not only in classrooms or books, it is already in your home, your office, your street, your daily life. All you need to do is see it, use it, and let it grow with you. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. I hope you continue tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. Because when daily routines become daily English, progress is not a dream, it is a habit. Until next time, keep learning, keep speaking, and keep walking step by step.